Tom Holland makes a great Spider-Man, doesn't he? He's been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for more than 2 years now, having first appeared in the franchise in 2016's Captain America Civil War. But the first prominent character to find out about him might surprise you, at least if this theory is to be believed. In this video, we'll be discussing the idea that Captain America knew about Spider-Man before everyone else in the MCU. Your friendly neighborhood ScreenRant would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. It's the best way of keeping up to date with all of our great new videos. When Marvel Cinematic Universe audiences were first introduced to Tom Holland's Peter Parker, he arrived home shocked to find Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark in his house talking to his Aunt May, who is, of course, played by the beautiful Marissa Tomei. Stark had arrived at the Parker household under the guise that Stark Industries were giving Peter a sizable grant, claiming he'd signed up for it in the past and the pair had communicated via email with each other. Of course, when he took the youngster to one side for a private chat, Stark revealed he actually knew that his secret identity was Spider-Man and wanted to recruit him to fight alongside him against Captain America himself, Steve Rogers. But there's a theory that suggests Rogers actually knew about Spider-Man before Stark did, and it's a pretty convincing one to be fair. In Captain America Civil War, in the battle at the airport in Stuttgart in Germany, Rogers dropped a skybridge on Parker, who was able to catch it without too much fuss. Now, we know Rogers isn't a murderer, so he must have been aware that Parker was strong enough to catch it, and that's how this theory was born. Nothing in the airport fight gave away how strong Parker really was, because let's be honest, everyone involved was pulling their punches, not wanting to do any serious damage to their opponents. In fact, Rogers actually got the better of Parker in a direct test of strength, so he certainly knew that Spider-Man wasn't as strong as, say, the Hulk or Thor. He also referred to him as Kid, and even though Parker did a lot of talking in that fight, Rogers can't have been sure of how old he was based solely on his voice, having only encountered him in that one airport scene. Not least because for the most part he was preoccupied, fighting against a team of superheroes. Parker may not have the deepest voice in the world, but it's definitely the voice of an adult. And he definitely has an adult physique, so there's really no way he could have been certain he was a kid. He could very easily have been in his early 20s, which isn't exactly a lot younger than Steve is biologically, and certainly not an age anyone should be referring to someone as a child. You're probably thinking to yourself, why did he ask Parker where he was from if he already knew who he was? Well, there's no definite answer to that question, but it could just be that he didn't want the webbed wonder to know that he already knew about him. Or maybe he just wanted to create an opportunity to gloat about the fact that he, a guy from Brooklyn, had gotten the better of a guy from Queens. So how might Rogers have known about Parker being Spider-Man before Tony Stark did? Well, there are a couple of possible explanations. When he went rogue along with the likes of Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, he recruited Wanda Maximoff, Clint Barton, and Scott Lang for his team. Could it be that he'd done some research to find other potential recruits? If so, he may have heard about a vigilante hero from Queens with superpowers and subsequently done his research on him. We know from Avengers Infinity War that Rogers is a good investigator. Stark himself believed he was the one man who could find the AWOL Vision and Wanda Maximoff. And he was right, as Rogers went on to find them both in no time at all in Edinburgh in Scotland, on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. If he wanted to find out who Spidey really was, you have to believe he would have been able to do exactly that. And it could just be that Stark got there before him when it came to recruiting him for Civil War. Of course, Rogers is also good friends with a number of individuals who worked for S.H.I.E.L.D., and Nick Fury and company keep a checklist of known superhumans. There is every chance that Fury or someone else within S.H.I.E.L.D. kept Rogers up to date with new entries on that list, to provide him with new potential allies and warn him of new potential threats. Fury is set to appear in Spider-Man Far From Home, apparently as Peter Parker's new mentor in the MCU. And for that to be happening, you have to imagine Samuel L. Jackson's character has known about Parker's secret identity for a while. Alternatively, when he was filming public service videos for gym classes, which were clearly filmed in schools, maybe Rogers visited Parker's school and saw him secretly doing something that only someone with amazing super strength could do. It was also noteworthy that Peter Parker was highlighted as a missing person in the trailer for Avengers Endgame. Other than Steve Rogers, the only other heroes on Earth who survived Thanos' universal cull were Bruce Banner, Thor, Natasha Romanoff, James Rhodey Rhodes, and Clint Barton. And it's hard to imagine which of those guys would have even noticed that Parker was gone. It's It's not like he was friends with any of them. Perhaps the fact that Rogers had him on his radar for some time explains why he'd declare him as a notable missing person. Regardless of how Steve Rogers might have known about Spider-Man before Tony Stark, you have to imagine he did. There's no way he'd risk killing someone he referred to as kid by dropping a skybridge on him. He'd never be able to look at himself in a mirror again. And if Rogers did have an interest in Spider-Man before they ended up fighting against each other in Civil War, it's cool to imagine them becoming friends going forward in the MCU. You know, assuming Chris Evans' character isn't permanently killed off in Avengers Endgame. So what do you think of this theory? Did Captain America really know about Spider-Man in the MCU before the likes of Tony Stark? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to ScreenRant for more great videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and catch you later.